Hey guys, it's BigJackFilms here. Welcome to another opening night. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So I finally got around to seeing Rampage. This is the movie that I've gotten emails upon emails of people wanting me to see this, and yes, there will be a King Kong review of this movie for sure, probably around late summer or something is when I plan to release the review of that. It's going to take me a while for that to come out. Unfortunately, I didn't see it with anybody. I didn't see it with Brad or any of my buddies. They couldn't make it to the screening. But yeah, we're here to talk about Rampage. This movie is basically, if you guys saw my reaction to it, I was pretty interested in seeing what the hell this movie's all about. So yeah, let's just get straight to the point. The plot of this movie, okay, so it's by the director of, the guy who did, I think, what was it, San Andreas, which was pretty much a knockoff of Earthquake, and I'll get to knockoffs in a second, because I think with this director, he's like the king of knockoff movies. He's like the new rip-off guy. So, if you guys don't know what the movie's about, it's based on the popular arcade game, which I have reviewed on the channel, as part of the King Kong video games. Basically, the video game involves you playing either a gorilla named George, a lizard named Lizzie, and a wolf named, I can't remember what the fuck his name is. I only played the game once. And you just go around smashing buildings and eating people. So, that shouldn't be too difficult to make into a film, a movie. So the plot is, you have The Rock, of course. He's always in these movies that this director puts out. Basically is a marine poacher-shooting Banff zoologist motherfucker who has raised this albino gorilla named George for years in an animal sanctuary. And, you know, they do sign language and shit like that, and it's a lot of fun. It's very funny. And, of course, you have evil scientists involved, and they're creating some sort of genetic engineering or genetic editing, as they put it, in space. How they got the technology to allow NASA to do experiments in space, I have no fucking idea. Although in my show, I have a satellite orbiting Earth. So, in terms of what happens, the genetic things, there's some giant rat thing that attacks in the station that goes wild, and there's only one survivor. And by the way, this movie opens pretty violently. This movie's a very violent film. It opens with, like, some guy in the space station floating around, and his eye socket is out, and he's severed hands and everything. So, you're getting a dark treatment of this fucking game, let me tell you. So, this lady escapes, very alien-esque. There's this giant rat, basically, that attacks, and she escapes into the escape pod. Unfortunately, she does not survive in the genetic gas tank thing's orbit to space, or orbit to the planet Earth. So, one hits a field full of wolves, one hits a river full of crocodiles, and one hits the gorilla sanctuary where George is. George breathes in the contamination, and then the next day starts growing bigger, and every day he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger till he's about King Kong size. So, of course, you've got the government coming in, the CIA, and all these different organizations trying to contain the animals that are loose and everything. So The Rock's gonna come in, save the world, along with Negan from The Walking Dead and some other chick, and basically it's just more destruction in Chicago, which Chicago has been getting ass-fucked lately by a lot of movies. I mean, it's like every other year something happens in Chicago, some battle happens. So, we get all this crazy antics, we get giant monster action, and we get basically pre-King Kong versus Godzilla awesomeness. So, what are my thoughts on Rampage, a movie that's been highly requested for me to review? Bottom line, it's fun. I had fun with it, but it's stupid fun. Like, utterly stupid fun. Now, here's how I can describe it. You know, like how in the 70s when, like, Jaws and Kong 76 came out, they were these massive hits at the box office. And then you have all these rip-off movies that come in, like Piranha, and, like, giant crocodile movies, and Grizzly, which come in to cash in on Jaws. And then you have the Kong knockoffs, which have things like, I don't know, Ape and Mighty Peking Man. that's this movie, basically. It's a big knockoff of other movies, but on a huge budget. It's not like it's made in China, or it's not like it's made in Korea, or Hong Kong, or something like all the other knockoffs from the 70s. So it's like, the movie is essentially a big budget 70s knockoff movie, because you have basically, this movie's basically ripping off so many other films, but you have fun with it. Like, it's ripping off things like, obviously, Kong Skull Island, you've got Godzilla you've mashed in there. You've even got things from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World in there. It's just a big knockoff disaster monster movie, and you know what? You can have fun with it, honestly. I mean, what else can you expect from a video game movie? But I will say this hands down, this is probably the best video game movie I've ever seen, next to Ready Player One, which I actually reviewed last time. Now, obviously, because this is a King Kong related giant gorilla film, what are my thoughts on George and possible nods to King Kong? They're good. First of all, I will talk about George, the ape. He's an albino gorilla this time, and what's great is that the effects were done by Weta Workshop, or Weta Digital. So, you've got the right people doing a Kong knockoff, because you got the people who worked on Kong 05. So, bottom line, the effects are pretty fun. I mean, they're not special or anything, but they're fun effects, and you have a lot of fun with them. But one thing I did notice, especially with all the knockoff and all the references, is that this feels like if I did a sequel to my Kong movie and I featured the Son of Kong. And the way I mean that is that there's things in here that actually it feels like a Son of Kong movie, essentially. You've got a smaller gorilla with George. You've got him actually interacting with some other gorillas in the facility. He's kind of the alpha male. And it feels like something that I actually would like to see in any sequel to Kong, and that is seeing the Son of Kong, like, basically raise a new trip of gorillas on the island. I mean, that would probably be a better ending than, like, Skull Island being sunk in the middle of the ocean. But you've got things like, obviously he attacks the city, and it's all fun. He's smashing buildings. It's great. He climbs up the Sears Tower. Now, funny enough, seeing a giant Kong-related gorilla attack Chicago is a concept that was pretty much scrapped in the late 90s, or the early 90s, when John Landis was going to do a remake of King Kong for Universal, and he was going to have this ending take place in Chicago rather than New York. So it was kind of cool to kind of see that actually happen in some form or concept in this film. You've got, trying to think what else is in it. Okay, one thing you will love in this film is that there is references to Jurassic World and Son of Kong and all that stuff. There's also a great reference, I don't know if it was intentional enough or not, to the film Ape, which is where, if you remember the film Ape, when the gorilla, the giant ape, strikes one of the choppers and then does the middle finger. It's funny because George does this in this movie, and every time he did it, I laughed my ass off. I think, honestly, the chemistry between him and The Rock was actually pretty cool. I actually was really moved. Like, they were the best characters, because it was almost like two best friends looking out for each other, and I absolutely love that. And even, okay, we're gonna get into spoilers here, when George basically almost dies, and it's something out of a King Kong movie, I actually thought he died. I was like, oh shit, they're ending it this way. And the way he goes out is pretty brutal. Like, he gets ripped to shreds. He gets a pipe through his chest. He gets, like, his arm almost ripped off by what is it, Izzy or Lizzie. He gets, like, tossed around. He gets fucked up in this movie. All the animals do. But yeah, I was actually afraid for George, and I thought he was gonna die, but he faked it out. What an asshole. I thought that was, really fun to watch, was just seeing him just trash the city and stuff. He does go up to the Sears Tower, but unfortunately, one of the downside I have is that I wish there was potential of him swatting some choppers or swatting some air jets out of, like, a King Kong movie, but I guess that would be too much like King Kong, but I think that, I can understand why they took it out. But, yeah, so George is great. The Rock, you know what? You expect The Rock to be a cool guy, and he's a nice guy in person, but he does have a lot of great one-liners in this film. To me, The Rock is like the new Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's throwing out one-liners. He's always finding his way out of scrapes. You know what? Half of this movie could just be called The Rock Climbs into Choppers, the movie. Because every other scene, he's climbing into choppers. He climbs through 3 choppers in this movie. And it's fucking hilarious that every time he just gets out of a chopper and so on. And yeah, there's, again, scenes that rip off other movies. So Jurassic Park, a scene where like a SWAT team is going after one of the monsters, is like when the InGen crew go after the Indominus and it kills them. That's a Jurassic Park reference. You've got things with Godzilla. You've got Izzy, which most people would consider a Godzilla knockoff. I see him more as an Anguirus knockoff. Did anybody else see a lot of Anguirus in Lizzie's performance? Let me know in the comments about that if you think that's the case. So this is also cool because we pretty much got the Son of Kong versus Anguirus. That's a crossover I thought I'd never see happen. I think that's a lot of fun shit to see in that section and everything. But that was fun. I'm trying to think with knockoffs. Okay, so Jurassic Park, you've got Anguirus, Godzilla, Son of Kong, all that stuff. You've also got references to other knockoff movies. You've got references to things like Carnosaur in this movie, which I was surprised because the villain of this movie you think is Negan from The Walking Dead, and he's not. He actually ends up becoming one of the heroes in this movie. And I love Negan in this. I don't know the name of the actor, but I think I just call him Negan. Even though I don't watch Walking Dead, I only know that one scene. But anyway, so he becomes an established character, but to the point where it rips off Carnosaur, the villain of the movie is a female character who is creating all this genetic shit, and she's doing everything in her power to do it. She's basically the chick from Carnosaur, who was Laura Dern's mother in that film, for those who don't know, where she's just like this psychopathic bitch who just wants to create genetic engineering. So it's straight out of Carnosaur, essentially. But then it's funny, because even more with the Jurassic World references, her name is Claire! It's like, come on, movie. You're dying to be Jurassic World. You're dying to be this franchise, this series. But I thought that was funny. Also, what was funny is that in her office, there is a Rampage video game, which doesn't really make much sense, because that's kind of contradicting the adaptation from the reality. It kind of breaks the laws, in a sense, on that. So I guess they came up with the idea by playing the fucking arcade game, which is fucking hilarious. Trying to think what else. I mean, most of the characters are just generic characters. I mean, you really don't care about them at this point, aside from The Rock and Negan. Everybody else is just there to die. Everybody else is just generic characters, the generic military, and so on. So the thing is with this director, what I've noticed is that he loves to rip off other movies. I've really gotten a sense of that with his last 2 installments. One being San Andreas, which to me was just a rip-off of Earthquake from the 70s, but this one is a rip-off of rip-offs from the 70s. So clearly this director liked movies from that era, and especially the rip-offs. But yeah, the effects are great. The battle scene at the end, the Rampage, that's what you pay your money's worth. And it's fucking amazing. It's just a fun monster bash action movie. You've got The Rock shooting this giant crocodile thing, and he's like getting so close to its mouth. He dodges death like no tomorrow. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, this whole movie is essentially a big cartoon. Essentially, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a Rampage animated series, and I would probably give that a watch if I could. Oh, lights out. But anyway, so, trying to think what else was good about this movie. I didn't mind, I mean, again, the effects are fun. Okay, that whole, the fight, George in the giant airship that was going on, when it was crashing and everything, I was like, this is just The Mummy 2017. I mean, you have to rip off that. There's another thing to add to the rip-off. So far, in terms of rip-offs, we have things from Son of Kong, Godzilla, American Werewolf in London, if you want to count the wolf scenes, I guess. You've got Jurassic World, Carnosaur, The Mummy 2017, and it's all in this movie. You get a mountain of references, a mountain of rip-off. Like, this movie is basically rip-off the movie. And for what it is, overall, guys, I thought Rampage was fun. But it's stupid fun. It's a giant rip-off movie, but a big-budget rip-off movie. The characters, you don't give a shit. Aside from The Rock, the monster action is a lot of fun, and they just go with the flow with it. They don't try to make it serious or realistic. They just go for straight-up, basically giant monster action and just be creative with the visuals. The deaths are phenomenal. Like, I'll mention this quickly. The werewolf gets bitten, its head bitten in half by the fucking gator, and the gator, George comes from behind him and stabs a huge fucking spike thing and pokes that thing through the fucking eye, and it is fucking amazing. Because you think he's gonna rip the jaw, but that's impossible. So he just stabs that motherfucker through the eye. I love that kill. I love how lately monster movies are starting to get creative with their kills in terms of, you know, like certain creatures getting killed. Like Godzilla had ripping the jaw and breathing through it. Kong Skull Island had a Mortal Kombat ripping through the fucking intestines. You've got Jurassic World, the Indominus Rex gets eaten deep blue sea by the Mosasaur. And then you have things like this movie, where a wolf's head gets bitten off, and a giant gorilla stabs this fucking Anguirus motherfucker through the eye. It's great. So, if it's still playing in theaters, guys, if you're giant monster fans, you'll have a lot of fun with it. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. It's just a fun popcorn movie, and it's just a cheap, you know, well, it's like a big budget rip-off movie. So, that's my take of it. I'm just repeating myself. I liked it. I'd give it maybe about a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. It was just a fun, dumb movie, and I don't mind movies like that once in a while. And, you know what, this director makes some decent films, but they're just fun B-movies, and I like an occasional B-movie once in a while, so whatever he makes next, I'll probably go see it, and it will probably have The Rock in it. So, that's really it. I know this one's a little short, but I just wanted to get this out there to let you guys know my thoughts on Rampage. Of course, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the film? Let me know in the comments down below. Next time, I'm hoping to catch a screening of Avengers Infinity War, even though I have not seen any of Phase 3, believe it or not. I've seen all the Marvel movies up to Ant-Man. I haven't seen anything since, but I may go back and watch some of those. And also, guys, hell, if you want, so next time will probably be Avengers Infinity War, but in the meantime, are there any, like, monster knockoff movies that you would like me to check out, whether it be Grizzly or some other monster movie in that genre? I'll probably review it here on this opening night. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on Rampage. I would love to hear what you guys had to say. So yeah, until the next video, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing off, and what a rampage!